of mind is underrated. And when we speak of insurance, yes, we speak of that peace of mind. As I told you, our friends from Sagicor General will be in the building. We have Mrs. Cheryl Roll, the principal rep at Sagicor Life, and General Mr. Dester Lander, sales manager at Sagicor, also here with us. Sir and Madam, good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Miguel.
Good morning, Miguel.
Thank you.
All right, and thanks for being here. How is life at Sagicor overall? How has life been?
Well, it's all about protection, and it's ongoing, and it never ends, and we are 24 hours on call if there's an emergency. I remember after Maria, I was not in Dominica when Maria occurred, and my phone bill came to $24,000 because people were calling me, and not all of them were my clients. They were calling, and there was no WhatsApp at the time. Remember, there was no Wi-Fi, so people were calling me direct, and I had on my roaming cell phone. So I couldn't switch off my phone if you're calling to ask me about another company that your mother was insured with. So I must give kudos to Flo. They felt so sorry for me after I pleaded my case that they made me pay 50% of the bill over a period of time.
Wow.
But it was that serious.
Yeah, I can just imagine, Cheryl.
Yeah.
And as you said, Maria, here, we are in that we're in the hurricane season where anything is possible. We'll be looking at property protection, and if we were to look at it in that context, of course, we're not referring to someone standing on the property and standing guard and being a security and all that, but from an insurance standpoint, from a financial protection standpoint against the risks. So let's start by putting things in proper context and perspective, Cheryl and Dester.
Okay, well, Sagicor has been in existence for 100 and almost 90 years, and I am proud to say that we paid out all our claims after Maria, and global warming is real, and I tell people Dominica is like a diamond in a chain, in a pendant. So we are the pendant in the Caribbean island. If you look at the map, you will see Dominica is located middle, just like how you have a pendant in a chain. And so when a storm is going up north, it might hit us. When it's going south, it might drop. So we are pretty much directly across. And so we face the added risk of global warming, floods, landslides, and hurricanes. And so it's a reality. It is a reality, and therefore we have to put systems in place to protect what we have worked so hard for. We work so hard. We want to protect it.
And, hi, Miguel. If I could just add something to what Mrs. Roll said. This is a hurricane season, unfortunately, comes every year.
Yes.
Okay, so with the whole global warming and the change in the climate and etc., there becomes an increasing need that we prepare ourselves for the inevitable. Whether it be just a simple bad weather, whether it be a little flooding. We noticed a couple weeks ago there was a little heavy rain, and you had Calabishi underwater and etc., and the water goes into the houses and so. Now, what we at Sagicor General would like to reiterate is that we're not just an insurance company that we come and pay your premium and etc. We want to educate the public. Because if your property is safe, makes my property safer. Okay? So there are some fundamental things that you can do to ensure that your property is being, it is in good condition. So for example, when we noticed in Calabishi, one of the issues was that there were a lot of drains that were not cleared. Okay? Right. So when the water comes down into the drain, it has to find a source to go somewhere. So it's going to come back onto the property. That is going to infringe on you. It goes through your home, it causes flooding, and etc. So these little things, especially in the hurricane season, we advise the community, be your neighbor's keeper. You know, you see that there's a tree in the drain, and it may not necessarily be on your property, but when you speak to the man later on, say, hey, bro, if you need a little help, let me take that thing out there, because, you know, if that water backs up, it's going to be on all of us. So that, your gutterings at your home, for example, would have accumulated some leaves and possibly some branches. Now, if you're able to clear those before a storm, that at least it gives you that moment until it becomes full again. Okay, so little tips that we want to just share with people. Importantly, you have to know what is insurable at your property. So we insure the structures, the physical structures, because we can't necessarily insure land, because land can depreciate, or land can, the market value is a lot different. It's a lot more difficult for you to insure land. No, we insure the structure. So when you visit us at Sagicor General, we will ask you for an evaluation that should be within the last 3 years. Now, reason why we are saying for the last 3 years, Mrs. Roll made a point about global warming and the increase in storms, but we also have to factor in other world events that causes things to get more expensive. So you're looking at the conflict in Ukraine and etc. These things affect the trade of the building materials that come into Dominica. So that is going to affect the replacing that same structure, because when you were able to buy the galvanized at $10 a square foot, now it has gone to $20 a square foot, but you were insured for $10 a square foot. So now you're having a problem to put back the property how it was prior to the storm. So we need to look at something like the replacement cost, and that's when we take it from there.
Mm-hmm. And then if I may interject, when someone comes to assess the damage of your property, Miguel, they are not looking at what it is insured for, they're looking at the damage. So for example, if you insure the property for $450,000, but a year later you put 2-bedroom downstairs and you're renting it out, the property gets damaged, and the person comes to assess the damage, and he says you have $700,000 worth of damage. What would you expect the insurance company to give you, Miguel? What would you expect? Huh?
Everything.
Right. But you were insured for $450,000, but you forgot that little part. Because the assessor is now telling you that it is damage for $700,000. So what you want is your $700,000, but you were not insured for $700,000. Then you might want to argue and say, well, why didn't we tell you that? So we are making it public today. Please look at the most recent evaluation of your property and make sure it is 3 years and under. So 3 years, 2 years, 1 year. Look at your property. The other thing I want to reach out, Miguel, to our overseas Dominicans. I consider all our people to be our people, whether they're here or not, because Dominicans overseas contribute a lot to the economy.
Are you referring to homeowners or?
Dominicans on a whole overseas. Okay, so I'll start with that, right? Remittances, I remember one year reading that remittances from Guyana, before oil was booming, remittances from Guyana was higher than their GDP. So the earnings derived from Guyana was less than what people were sending back. And we do a lot of that here in Dominica. So we're back to referring to the properties. One of the reasons why I want to be addressing this issue is to start a conversation with your family, start a conversation with your children. Because you, Miguel, you might have 2 sons that are overseas. One is in New York, one is in Texas. And he's not aware that your house is not insured because you have not started a conversation with him for multiple reasons. For pride, maybe sometimes you don't want to tell them that you didn't have enough money to insure the property. But when the damage is done to the property, everybody needs to help and everybody gets involved. So get involved before it happens so that you have less challenges when it does and if it does happen. So you have 3 children in different places. Tell them, listen, my property needs to be insured and I don't have enough of the income. Can you all assist with that? Because at the end of the day, you cannot take the house with you in the grave. So you're leaving it above for the children anyway. So parents, please start a conversation with your children and flip it to the other side to children. Please have a conversation with your parents. I see a lot of negative posts going out when something happens. But how are you in touch with your own family, your own parents, to ask them, Mommy, is the house insured? How much is it insured for? Because sometimes they don't remember or they don't know. You need to get involved in those things, because at the end of the day, when something happens, you are the one that they're going to still have to reach out to help them to fix back. And the cost of fixing back is a lot more than the insurance premium.
So you're asking folks to be proactive, get involved, play a part, and encourage us to do the right thing. Yeah. As you mentioned, even Desta spoke of the increase in prices caused by whatever world events and other factors, and the replacement cost. Looking at factors such as depreciation and all that, are there different, or what are the different coverage plans available at Sagicor, really?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
What's the difference available at Sagicor?
What are the different products?
Plans. So you can have contents.
Okay, sorry, I wasn't here for a moment. Okay, so yes. First of all, is the traditional house insurance, right? So you're the property owner, so you insure the property. Now, there are other products that can be used. For example, people that are renting, you can get insured too, because the majority of people that rent an empty apartment. Mm-hmm. They will put items into the apartment, your furniture, your fridge, your stove, etc. You have purchased this property, this product. Why are you not insuring them? So we have contents insurance. We are moving into a world where we're more sustainable. So you have a lot of solar power happening right now in Dominica. We insure the solar panels as well. The solar panels, the solar inverters, the converters, and so. And it's important to note that when you're coming in to do insurance for products and your contents and so, it is also, we insist that you bring the whole bill. So what it would have cost you from purchasing all the way to your doorstep. That's inclusive of customs, transportation, and so, because what we don't want is that in the event something happens and then we give you the payout, the claim, that you're not able to purchase the solar panels, etc., and bring it back to your home. So we insist that you give us the full bill. Okay, now we're looking at also for not just your home insurance, you have property where it's commercial. So let's say you're renting a building and you have a little mini mart inside of it. Okay, we insure the stock in the mini mart, what is in the fridge, what is in the storage. We insure all that as stock. Okay, even when you have, for example, the different businesses that are wrong that have their products on the shelf, products in storage, etc., we insure that as well. Once you can provide a listing as to what you have with a value on it, we will then calculate a premium based on your risk factors, and we will insure the items. Now, I want to make something very, very clear, and I get that question a lot every year. Mm-hmm. Hurricane season does not mean that you cannot purchase insurance during the season.
Very critical. Very critical.
You need to understand that. There are only 2 instances where insurance companies generally are not able to sell insurance or to put you onto the books. Number 1, if a storm is in our waters, cannot. Mm-hmm. Number 2, we in Dominica operate on the advice of the ODM. Right? So if the ODM puts out a warning or puts out a notification saying, hey, within the next 24 hours, we're expecting a storm, we expect this category, that category, we will then cease from writing up new business. But you can come in and make a payment on your existing policy. For example, you have not paid your full balance in the policy and you just want peace of mind, we will still facilitate that. It's just for the new business, because we want to make sure that the waters are clear, that we can do a proper risk assessment before we insure the property. And during a storm, let us be honest, I will not be able to go to your property to insure if it's okay. The evaluator is not going to be able to go to the property. So it just makes sense that when everything calms down, then we can start back, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. But is there a specific period, though, a time frame or timeline?
Normally within 24 hours, our storm approaching our territory or our waters, we will send out a notice. We will send an email, and our marketing team from head office normally is we are part of the disaster management, so we will get information that, hey, this is going to happen, and then more than likely we will have on social media, on DBS and etc. to say, hey, because of the impending storm, we will not be able to write up new business today. But it will never just be this morning I say, hey, I can't write up. It'll always be 24 hours in advance.
Also, I think the ODM is doing an excellent job.
I must say too.
And DBS, they are sensitizing us, and they are working with the powers that be, which is the government and stuff, to protect us as much as possible. But we ourselves need to play our part. And Miguel, whether you took a loan to build that property or you took your blood and sweat every month, you got paid and you bought a concrete block, sometimes people might be averse to insurance because they feel that the premiums are too high. But I think it deserves a conversation, that you walk into our office and ask some questions. It's in your interest to come in and ask questions, and you might be surprised. It is affordable, and there are payment plans. There are payment plans. And so we want the public to know, because a lot of people say, so I didn't know Sagicor did insurance. Yes, we do insurance. We do general and life and health and group. So we offer that, and we would like the public to get involved in their own business. This is your house. Insure it. This is your contents. You bought fridge, stove. Find out how much. You have nothing to lose but to ask a question. Call or ask a question as to what is the procedure, how much would it be? I have a television, I have a washing machine, I have a stove. What would it cost? But even more importantly, it's the conversation I would like people to have. For example, Miguel, your parents are in Dominica?
If mine are in Dominica?
Yeah.
Yeah, one.
They have a house?
Yeah.
Have you ever asked them if it's insured?
Well, I mean, I know everything is taken care of.
No, that's what you assume. Don't assume anything. Do not assume anything.
Sure.
Do not assume anything.
True.
Ask a question.
No
Do
problem.
not assume.
As you have said, as you told us earlier.
Ask a question. And sometimes we overlook certain things. Like even me, I forgot the generator. The generator can be insured as well. So if you have a large generator and you have a little generator house, you might figure it's safe, but the generator is important to be insured, because you just don't know what category of storm we can suffer from. And none of us want a hurricane, but at least if it's coming, you're better off being insured than not insured. Because it's a lot of risk and it's a lot of blood and sweat you have put into building. And then some people will say, well, I don't have a loan with the bank, so I don't need insurance. Yeah, but if it is removed, as Desta said, the replacement costs are so high now because of the tariffs from outside of our jurisdiction. The cost of repairing and replacing is going to be high. And a lot of times we are also not the only ones affected. So a hurricane might hit here, but it might hit St. Lucia, it might hit Antigua. And so you have to, it takes a lot of work and it takes money to build back. So it's something that I hold dear to my heart, that I would like really it to be addressed in a serious way. There's WhatsApp nowadays. There's no cost to call your parents in Dominica, and there's no cost to call your children. Make a little phone call. Tell them you're not sure, you don't know, you haven't checked. Be truthful, but at least let them start the process of at least inquiring as to how do I get my mom's house insured? How do I do this? How do I do that?
Yeah.
I
want to ask. Okay, go ahead, Desta. Go ahead.
Yes, as Mrs. Roll is talking today, I think it's important to say that you have WhatsApp right now. Right?
Of course.
So I'm going to give a number that can be reached via WhatsApp or straight call, doesn't matter, just to ask the question. Okay? The number is 767 614 3118. Okay, 614-3118, 767 is the area code. You can send a message now, Miguel. If you want, you can even try. Send a message now, and you will see that you will get a response instantly.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
What we want to be to educate the public about is that if you don't know, ask us. You'll be surprised as to what can be insured, and you'll be surprised as to the premium. Now, Mrs. Rowe pointed out something about people saying about the premium is so high. This is a global You know, this is global. This is bigger than us. Because when you have, we as an insurance company have reinsurers to make sure that we are able to satisfy all claims. In other words, at one point, if our entire portfolio was to get damaged, God forbid, our reinsurers have made it so stringent that we will be able to pay all of y'all right away.
All of us.
All of us. Because I'm actually a client of Sagicor General.
And me too.
All of us. And Mrs. Roll as well, right? All of us with no issues. Now, based on that, the reinsurers will then calculate the risk factors that happen to the territories. So that's why you will see, and there's no insurance company right now in Dominica that cannot tell you that their rates have not increased. That would be a fib, and the rates has increased because everybody is facing it. Okay? So what I like to tell people is that we're gonna have to insure the property. If house insurance was mandatory, you would find a way to put your house insured. Just like the vehicles are mandatory, some people can afford third-party insurance, some people can afford full comprehensive insurance. Come in, let's have a conversation. We will not insure anything, Sagicor at least, will not insure anything less than 85% of the replacement cost. The reason for that is that we believe in giving a reasonable and feasible payment to you. We should not be able to give you a payment that you cannot finish build back the house. Okay? So
and also, I mean, you know, everything is a learning experience, eh? And that's why when after Maria we heard, I think that's when we heard that word being used so much, and so we started to think that way. And that word starts with an R. What word is that, Miguel?
Resilience.
Resilience. That's a word we it was always there, but we learned it more.
Definitely.
So it's part of our DNA right now. And so couple that with the fact that up to $8,000 of your premium is tax deductible. So you claim it on your taxes when you're working. Right? Those are for people like me and you and working people. Those that are overseas, it will cost them less to assist their parents, their cousin, their auntie, their nene, because some people grow up with their grandparents. A lot of children grow up with their grandparents and went away. So call your grandmother. If she doesn't remember, call somebody and insure it. Because at the end of the day, if something happens to her, it's you yourself, or as the Dominicans would say, you yourself. They're going to call and say, well, the roof is missing and it's $25,000 to repair the roof, and it's free of y'all in the different parts of America and two in England. Everybody have to come up with some money to help to repair the roof, and the insurance premium would have been a lot less than the $25,000. And that's what I want to go across social media. We hear and see terrible things and people spread things. These are the words that I want the whole of Dominica overseas and here to spread. These are the videos I want them to send out, sensitizing people to the reality of what is happening. And it is risk transfer. Insurance is all of us putting our money in a basket, and who gets damaged, sick, die, or injured, or fire or hurricane, we take out from the basket and give to them. That is what it is.
All right. For our listeners' sake, just joining in, we're here with Mrs. Cheryl Roll and Mr. Desta Land of Sagicor. Very importantly, I want to ask, what is Sagicor's position? Not other companies, but your position with regards to property insurance in areas, situations we may consider a little riskier. What is your position, especially as we're here?
Okay, so we got that question, Miguel. Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah. Okay, so what we consider high risk is areas, for example, that are prone, and I mean prone, I don't mean prone to flooding like they give us the advisory from if you're prone to flooding and landslides. I mean prone, like you're on the riverbank, or you are 20 feet from the sea. You know, so there are some properties that unfortunately prove too much of a risk than a return. Okay, because at the end of the day, as Mrs. Rowe pointed out, we are transferring the risk. You are transferring the risk from yourself to the insurance company. And the insurance company then assesses the risk and then gives you a premium as to what is going to cover. Now, there are some areas that, for example, I can't insure anything in Petit Savan right now. That is because it has been deemed a high-risk area. and it has been declared a high-risk area. So, I mean, to be quite honest, we've insured all properties all around Dominica. There are very few properties that we will turn down, and the reason that we will turn them down, it is almost like a uniform reason to the other insurance companies, even to the banks, and so it's because of the area being so high risk. So I advise certain things that when you are constructing your property, I think it is very crucial that we follow the building codes that have been put up by the Ministry of Planning. We also follow the suggestions of what has happened before us. Not everything that is broken needs to be fixed. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. If you're building and you're close to a little hill, a little mountain behind you, build a retaining wall. So when you build a retaining wall, what it does is that when the landslide comes down, it has to hit something before it hits your house. That is crucial. We live in areas in Dominica, our terrain, how we are, is that after our mountains get saturated, they look to come down. So we have to make sure that we have nice scenic properties, but there are no replacement, there are no retaining walls around these. And just do the little things. Ask some advice. I know sometimes people complain about the engineers being a little expensive, but we all have friends that we went to school with. I mean, me and you went to school, Miguel. If I want something to do the radio, I'm not going to call DBS and ask to speak to Mr. Labadi. I'm going to call you on your phone and say, hey, bro, I'm doing this. What do you think?
Easily.
Sometimes a little piece of advice can help you strengthen your property. Now, as we're talking about that, I want to just mention again, there are things that we can do that are expensive, but we can do and we can take care of. See, water tanks. There's a lot of water tanks all over Dominica. Again, we are trying our best to be resilient by having backup water, so we're not heavily reliant. Because once a storm occurs, at some point, the WASCO is going to shut down their system to stabilize their system and to ensure that that they can bring water right after the storm. How are you going to get water? So we have water tanks. Now, I'm privy to tell you that my 2 water tanks ended up in the river. They were full, 2,000 gallons and so of water. So I would like to encourage people, especially people that are building homes that are going to be more resilient and basically self-resilient, to build, like, if you have a welder, get somebody to weld around the water tanks so that it is stuck. It's a little harder for the hurricane to shift it. Okay, you have solar panels. Make sure that where you're housing the solar panels is properly constructed. The
question.
Yes, ma'am.
If a hurricane is coming, can you take? How hard is solar panels to take down? I'm just thinking, because I was told by a friend of mine from Cuba that in Cuba, when a hurricane is coming, the greenhouses, all of the greenhouses are taken down and they're secured. So the plastic and the metal, and they're put away until the hurricane passes. Now in Dominica, I might be wrong, but I don't think people taking down any greenhouses. The thing just go in and then they go to the Ministry of Agriculture. So I'm just saying, how do we sensitize people to secure as much as possible? Also with the concrete roofs, premiums are lower for those that have concrete roofs. But then again, we have to look at concrete roofs. Make sure it's well structured. Make sure it fits the engineering the engineer's requirement, because we don't want roofs to collapse from heavy rainfall. And we had an incident. There was an incident yesterday, I understand, where the roof collapsed.
Yeah.
So I'm saying we need to look at the systems that we're putting in place and how we can fortify our homes.
Yes, I'm sure there.
Well, to answer your question, Mrs. Roll,
go ahead,
the solar panels. The solar panels are very delicate aspects. So you should be, and they're not cheap. So if you have spent money to install your solar panels, there are ways that you can take it off by using your drill. Take it off. I mean, if it's a little rain, a little storm, a little tropical storm, maybe you can leave it there. But I would advise that anything that the ODM gives us a heads up, you should be looking to secure, because if a water tank at 2,000 gallons can fly, I think your solar panels can more than definitely fly. So you need to look at that. Also, I think it's a crucial, and Mrs. Rowe mentioned something as well. If your parents are not in, you don't live in the States, you live in England, you live wherever, and your parents are not sure as to what their policy is or whatever, ask them to send you a copy of the policy. Okay? Now, at
Or give them or share our numbers with them so that they can contact
they can reach
us,
out to us
and we can send
we
an
can
email.
let them know.
And it's with their permission, of course.
Of
course, with their permission, their signed permission, that we can email. So Miguel, your brother is in St. Thomas, and you can email him and say, listen, this is how much is it insured for. And it's something, I mean, just 2 weeks ago, I asked for all my property,
her coverages,
my coverage and stuff. I want to look at it because something you remember. You insure something in September of last year. You're not going to remember. So you can pull it up. We can email it to you. If you don't have email, like your parents might not have email, we can send a WhatsApp so they have it on your phone. But start a conversation, please, my fellow Dominicans here and abroad.
Also,
start a conversation.
Also, Mrs. Roll, I must point out that one of the biggest queries after a storm is what I cover for now? I don't even know my policy. No, I am encouraging everybody to have 2 copies of your policy. A physical copy that should be stored in a safe and dry location in your home. I'm old school.
Passport.
Put that in a Ziploc bag. I'm old school. Put that in a Ziploc bag.
Together with your passport.
And your marriage certificate, things that you hold dear, they should be the same way. Now, keep a copy electronically too, because God forbid all your documents go. Then so you have a backup.
But back again to the copy. My mother is 85. My mother is not going to go anywhere to email, copy, or anything. So when the houses are being insured, have a child, or sometimes their parents with no children, have whoever that they trust to have that information so that they can contact us as well. Because Miguel, after the storm, remember what I told you about my phone bill? People were calling me not about their properties, but about their grandmother, their auntie. Okay, and they were not insured with me, but I couldn't hang up the phone on them, so I just kept asking them questions. And so now is the time to start a conversation. Miguel, I'm going to start with you. This is your homework. Tomorrow I'm going to call you to ask you for the information about your parents' home, your grandmother and your mother. Because sometimes the grandparents have a property, 6 children, they died, the house is there, or they have 6 children. The 6 children need to be contacted, because you know what I find amazing is that when there is a funeral, they all show up.
Yeah.
But the person gone already. You understand? So it's while they are alive for you to have an interest in what is happening with them.
Just want to say the emergency contact number again. 767-614-3118. I encourage you, even if you just want to ask a question, we don't judge. I like NCCU's ad the other day. We don't judge. We listen. We don't judge. You call us and ask, and I've been taught since I was young, there's no dumb question.
Right.
Okay. You ask the question. You may be surprised, and if I don't know, I can tell you something. I will research that until I come up with an answer for you.
Of course.
So ask me, challenge me, ask me that question. What is going on? And we have amazing staff that are very forward thinking and very innovative. So you ask them, so we can do certain things. You want to put your contents insurance with a liability. We can do these things. I mean, we're in the hurricane season, so we're going to talk about home insurance and property insurance and so. But bear in mind that there's a lot of other products that can be taken care of insurance-wise. You look in, if you're an employer, you have employees, and somebody was to have an accident on a job, besides Social Security, it's pretty much going to be in your pocket. We have something called employer's liability. We have something that you're professional, that you go out, you're an engineer, you're an architect, you're a medical doctor. I know in the international market, you're going to have to show some documentation that you are professional, you're capable, and if something happens on your watch, you have an insurance policy that is going to cover that. That's called professional indemnity. We have that at Sagicor General. And again, call us, and as Mrs. Rose said, let's start a conversation. Let's have a conversation about insurance, and let's see how far we go. You might be surprised. You might be surprised to know that you're adequately insured or not. So let's have that conversation. And I really don't want it to have to be a reactive aspect of ourselves. I think we need to be proactive. Yeah. The government of Dominica has spent a lot of money in implementing different structures. You know, we fixed a lot of buildings, etc. But I believe that the onus is on us as well too, because if you give me a house, I am supposed to make sure that house remains secure and safe and all that. It's not for the house to go for give me another house. So I think it is the onus is on us as citizens of Dominica to ensure that we are adequately insured, as well as let's bring back the whole be your neighbor's keeper. You might see a house next to you that's not insured. Maybe you have to ask a question. Maybe the person doesn't realize that they can insure the property, or maybe they can't afford the property insurance, but they can afford contents insurance.
So you can mind your neighbor's business. That's what you're saying.
But the other thing is that a lot of people, if you take a drive, Miguel, in Roseau up Santa Roma, you'll see abandoned houses, one person in the house, and stuff like that. And so that's why I'm reaching out to, but I know that they have children and the children are not here. So how do you reach those children? And that's why social media, the radio, and the likes come into play to sensitize people on those things before something happens. And as again I say, do not assume. Some people think, yeah man, my mother used to insure that house all the time, it's insured. But it slipped your mother, she getting dementia, she doesn't have the money that she's getting after she retired is not what she used to get before, and she's not sharing that with you. So you don't know. You just don't assume anything, because when something happens, you're the same person that she will need to reach out to assist her. So you might as well assist her to pay $5,000 for a year than trying to come up with $50,000 to get some galvanized to put to cover her.
Well said, Cheryl and Desta. We appreciate the education and the sound advice and recommendations. You know, we have learned so much, especially since Maria, and we continue to learn. Again, our areas and points of contact for more information as it relates to mitigating against all these risks and property insurance and doing the right thing, taking the right steps, and meeting you guys at Sagicor. Contact information, location, and everything. Desta, Cheryl.
Well, everybody has my contact. My phone number is 767-235-7111. So I'm like 911. So
and my personal number is 317-5017. Just like Mrs. Roll, I do not put on my phone when it's hurricane season.
Yeah.
I do not put on my phone. Wow. One of my priorities is to make sure my phone is always fully charged, just because you never know. And also, the cell number that was provided is 614-3118. Will be available on the weekends. Will be available. I mean, don't wake me up in my bed on a Saturday morning to tell me the sky is blue. You know, come in for a real question.
Yeah,
but in other words, that we are trying to proactively be reachable.
Yeah.
You know, one of the issues that we because it's a learning process for all of us. You know.
Yeah. And then after Maria, you know, as I said, Miguel, people were reaching out to me that were not insured with me. About 60% of my phone bill was people that were not insured with me, because you know you have to treat people how you would like to be treated, and this is such a traumatic time that you want to be able to reach out to the person that you have insurance with, but when they didn't get that person, they called my number, so I had to be sympathetic and try to guide them as to the process, right? The other thing is that, Miguel, we have a lot of engineers here. We have a lot of architects. We have a lot of educated people in that field. So if you don't know anybody, the banks have a listing. We have a listing of engineers and stuff that you can reach out to ask them to evaluate your property. Now, there is a cost to evaluating your property, but there is a bigger cost if you don't evaluate it and you're not insured. So again, reach out to your family overseas, reach out to your people and tell them, listen, the engineer is going to charge $2,500 to assess the property. The insurance is $7,000, that's $9,500. There is a payment plan. Would you be able to assist me? At least you have reached out, so that way that person overseas in good conscience can say yes or no, but at least they were aware that you were not insured, rather than you get a phone call after the storm from your daughter asking what's the situation. You were like, well, I don't know. No, I didn't realize it wasn't the insurance had expired and all of those things. Start a conversation with your family, please, my fellow Dominicans. We have been through too much not to be together.
I know, man, and it's never too late. Thank you so much again, Desta and Cheryl Roll. Thank you for all the great work, and Cheryl, all the work you've been doing outside of Sagicor Insurance itself. Keep up the good work, and
Yes.
congrats, man.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks so much for having us.
All right, pleasure.
Hope we have a safe season. I hope
Yes.
no storm comes this season.
I'm telling you.
And stay protected, team. Stay protected, Team Dominica.
Yes.
We are resilient, and part of our resilience is protection. And as I said again, there is even a tax break now on your premiums that you pay. So please protect what is.
Also, we
worthy.
are physically located in Roseau and in Portsmouth. Portsmouth, for all our people on the north, we are located in Portsmouth.
On Bay
We're located in Roseau. We have 2 branches in Roseau. So, Sagicor Colors,
Hillsborough Street.
we have on Hillsborough Street, pretty much run Hillsborough Street.
Bank, or go to NCCU and go to National Bank, which is on the same street.
Yeah.
Get your premiums and come and pay it.
See, I'm rocking my collar, man. See, I'm rocking
Right, exactly.
Wise
We're well
financial
branded.
thinking
Yeah.
for life.
Yeah, but before, I think, Miguel, before parents did not communicate a lot with us. You know, we found out
True.
things sometimes on the road before we knew it. I think this generation, my generation, we are much more open with our children. The things that I couldn't do in front of my mother, my children can do in front of me. You know, because it's more open and stuff. And so, for that era of parents in their 60s and 70s that might not be able to afford their 40-year-old children and their 30, reach out to those children. Be truthful. There's nothing to be ashamed of. You know, pride is your downfall. And why it's more shameful, I think, for you not to tell them when something happens and they're like, Mommy, why you didn't tell me the house wasn't insured? So it's better if you pick up your phone, or when the children call you, say, you know, I heard it on the radio and I want to talk to you all because I don't think I have paid it, or I'm not sure. And just, you know, Miguel, I tell everybody, my children know all my business. My children know all my business. There's nothing I'm hiding from them, because you can't hide from God. Start a conversation, communicate with your children. Communication, if there was communication in the world, there would be peace. Communicate with each other. Speak to one another.
Wow, I have to write that quote down and put
You
that
know?
on. Yeah, man. Just more
Speak to one
communication.
another.
It would be
And
peace.
as I heard
like
this
that.
morning on DBS, the garbage truck is passing to pick up all the negativity. So anything that's negative,
Yeah, man.
throw it outside. But
Yeah.
when it comes to your property, and you know one of the sad things, Miguel, sometimes you hear, oh, insurance, insurance don't pay out. But Miguel, I would love every time I pay out a check for me to go on the newspaper and go on social media. But people don't want people to know their business.
Right.
So you're not seeing that part. So the 2 negatives highlighted, but the 20,000 positives is not highlighted.
Well,
You
2
understand?
negatives in math equal a positive, huh? So,
So all the negativity, throw it in the garbage truck that's going to pass,
Yeah.
as I heard on DBS this morning, and have positive thoughts, and
Indeed.
speak to your family about insuring your property.
thank you as usual, Cheryl. Do have a good one.
Okay,
Desta?
you too.
Yes, sir. Principal Rep, Cheryl Roll, and Salesman.